this is David with EdgeStar Technical Support. Today we're going to be covering the AP14001HS. This is our biggest portable air conditioning unit, and it also has a heating function. We're going to talk about setup and feature set. Alright, so I'm going to give you a quick overview of what comes in the box. Of course, we have our AP14001HS here. That obviously is the main component in our box. And then we have all of our accessories. So we have double of everything on this unit because we have an intake and we have an exhaust on this unit. So just like in all of our other product videos that we have, we're going to show you how the window kit gets set up. But in this case, instead of one hose and one point with the one hole, we're doing doubles on everything. So we have two exhaust hoses. You'll have four of these. And I show two here. I've got one there and I've got one pre-attached to the hose. These are your duct connectors. You have four of them. Two graded adapters. Two graded adapter caps. Your remote. Your instruction manual. And we have our window kit, which comes in, there's three pieces to this kit. You got this long point with these double holes, and then our slider adapters, which come out to fit into your window. And that's what comes in the box. If you're missing any of these pieces, contact customer service at edgestar.com. We'll help you get you set up with some more pieces. Alright, I wanted to show you really quick how this window kit goes together. Now you'll notice that this kit's a different color from these other parts. That's okay, I'm just using this for illustration. Your parts will probably be a different color. In any case, the installation is the same. So the first thing we're going to do is get a measurement on our window. Take a tape measure, measure your width on your window, see what you need. Now, your kit comes with some adjustable panels. Again, we have our solid slider here, and then we have our one with our holes. I'll flip this around. And we have our holes here. One side is for intake, the other side is for exhaust. Typically, you'll find that they're actually marked. Sometimes you won't. In this case, this one's marked. I'll show you how to tell the difference on the back of the unit in a little bit later in another segment. But when you set these up, they're essentially the same as any of our other window kits, and they come with exactly the same parts. So let's imagine for a moment that we've got our width on our window and we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to adjust these panels, and you cannot block these holes. They have to remain open. So make sure you measure your window correctly. If you need to trim off one of the solid panels, you can do that. They're just soft plastic. You just cut them with a hacksaw to make them fit. Once you're done, you're going to see that one of these panels has the screws in it. You may have to transfer the screws from this panel over into this main panel with the holes, but most of the time they'll come with the screws already in this main panel. So you would use these screws to screw into here to just stop the panel from moving. So once you get it installed, it's not going to go anywhere. So again, we're just using this for illustration. So our next step here, and I'll show you without this other slider attached. So we'll set that aside. This is our main panel. So this one hooks up the same way. I'm only going to do one side just so you see how it's done. So your graded adapter with the ears, this round side of the plate will face you. This is the inside of the room. This is our window side. So we're going to slide our graded adapter through the hole, and we're going to lock it into place. And if you'll notice, it spins. And that's okay. You have four screws here that you are able to put a screw in here if you want to hold this down. But if you don't put the screws in there, that's optional. It's just going to spin a little bit. It won't make any difference. So once we've got that in there, then what we're going to do is we're going to get our duct connectors, which look like this. They're grooved on this one end. They have threads. And on the other end, we have female tabs. So what we're going to do is take one of our exhaust hoses, and we're going to stretch the end of it out just like that. As you can see, this is compressed. These stretch out to a maximum of 49 inches, and they're 5 inches in diameter. Don't make these hoses any longer than they already are. We can damage the unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our adapter here, and we're going to screw it on the end of the hose just like that until it stops. Once it stops, we're going to turn around and we're going to come back to our window kit, and we're going to line up our tabs, our male and female tabs, and we're going to lock this into place. And you'll repeat that for this hole. It's the same procedure. Now, you can leave this window kit in the window. If you choose to do so, during the times when you're not using the unit, you're going to want to cap off these openings because it's going to let outside air in, especially in the wintertime. So what you'll do, it's the same way as those graded adapters and the same way as the duct connectors. We have that female tab, and we're just going to snap it. We just snap it onto the end of the graded adapter. And you would do that with either one of those. And that's our window kit install. Alright, now that we've reassembled our window kit, we've got that all done, we're ready to go ahead and assemble the back of the unit. I'm going to go through this really quickly. There's just a few things that you need to know. So on our adapters here with our hose, we have it already connected and ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to snap it onto these grates. This side is your exhaust side. So if I'm looking at the unit, it's going to be on my right. This is the side that blows the hot air out. This is the exhaust side. So we need to make sure that we hook that up. This is our intake side. You're not going to feel any air coming out of here, but you'll feel lots of hot air coming out this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook this up. And when you hook this up, you're going to snap these tabs, these female tabs. There's male tabs on both sides here on the unit. So we're just going to snap that in. We're going to orientate it, snap it in, and then you're going to bend the end of your hose to match your window kit. You're going to do that on both sides of the unit, and that will complete your exhaust and intake hose installation on the back of the unit. So again, they just snap into place. Next thing we're going to talk about is water. And why is water important? Water is important because this unit generates water during the cooling process, and it also generates water during the heating process. It's the same thing. All we're doing inside is we're reversing our coils, and I'll get into that in a little bit. At some point, the unit's going to shut off, and we're going to have a light that comes on the front of the unit that says, "I'm full of water. Drain me." So we're going to show you how to drain it, and that's done via this rubber plug down here. This rubber plug is simply a friction fit, and as you can see, it's held on by a rubber tether, so you can't lose it. Just make sure that you roll this unit outside. You're going to disconnect your two hoses, disconnect your electrical plug here, roll the unit outside to a safe spot, pull the plug and let it drain, and you can tip it over a little bit and that will help it out. Don't lay it over on its side, just give it about a 10-degree tilt so that we can get most of the water out. Once you're done, you're going to push your plug back onto the port, make sure it's secure, and you should be fine. Next thing we're going to talk about up here is our filter. The filter is just a plastic mesh, and it's very easy to keep clean. Now on the outside of this unit there's actually a louvered cover. I've removed it for purposes of clarity to be able to show you the filter really good. So you're going to wash this filter in hot water. You want to make sure that you don't really use any soap because you can leave residue on here and it's going to collect dirt even faster. So at least at the beginning of the season and in the middle of the season and probably before the end of the season, I would clean this thing. Just make sure it stays clean. In the back for support, we have a removable filter frame, and that just snaps in there. Make sure that you snap this in there because the filter itself lacks a little bit of rigidity. So we want to make sure that it stays in one spot, and that's what our filter frame does. And your unit may or may not come with a carbon filter. Your carbon filter would sit inside this filter frame against the back of the filter, and then the filter frame sits in front of it, just like it is here. So we would put our carbon filter mesh in between these two pieces. And once you're done, you would snap the whole thing into the unit. Now that carbon filter, if yours has one, is only good for about 30 days. You can purchase replacements through customer service over on the sales side by calling Compact Appliance. And just for clarity, their purposes, their phone number is 1-800-297-6076. And you can reach them at that number or at compactappliance.com. Of course, we can also help you as well, but if you call them, they're more than happy to do that for you. So you're going to make sure the filter stays clean, and the filter just pops in here. We're going to flip it around to where our filter frame fits, and then these big tabs here at the top and the bottom, they snap into this frame here. So for now, I'm going to leave this off. Let's talk about this coil. The coil back here is very important. This is what cools our unit. You may see some coils, some of the fins bent over a little bit. This one's not real bad. I've got a couple of little dings here and there. That's fine. That's normal. And you're going to see that because as when they put the coil in, they handle it, and that's usually what happens. So make sure that you once a season, you take a bristle brush with a vacuum attachment, go in here and clean it really well. Make sure you don't bend any of these fins. And right here, you might ask, what's this little box? This box is our temperature sensor for this coil. It's fixed in place, but make sure you don't jerk on it or bump it, because if you do, that can throw our temperature calibration off on the unit. We might not be where we need to be when we start heating and cooling. So just make sure you kind of stay away from this box. Don't move it unless somebody tells you to move it. So here in the back here also we have vents. These need to remain unobstructed, this big one here. And this is our informational label. Model number, serial number, very important. Write that on your owner's manual, write it on a piece of paper, tape it to the unit, whatever you have to do. But make sure when you call into customer service, you have the model number and serial number available for us so we can look up your account if you need service. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to cover the controls on the unit and some of the features on it. This is a unit that we get a lot of customer questions about in service, and I wanted to cover everything I possibly can trying to answer all of your questions. First thing we're going to talk about is the very top of the unit. And you might ask, well, gee Dave, there's nothing up there. Well, there is. As you notice, there's no vent here for the cold air to come out, or in the case of this unit, the heat. Well, it has to come out from somewhere, so there we go. And this comes out of the top of the unit, and this one also is adjustable from side to side. And of course, you can raise or lower it to several different positions depending on how much airflow that you actually want. But that's where our vent is. So let's get into our controls. We have our main off and on switch. Just below that we have a triangle with an exclamation point in it. That's the light that I was talking about earlier when the unit requires draining. That's the light that's going to come on. The unit's going to stop operation at that point. That light's going to come on. It's going to stay on until you drain it and then turn the unit off and then back on, and it'll reset itself. Over here, this next section of lights, we have here at the top, this is our light for cooling. We have a light for fan only. And we have here at the bottom, we have a light that does double duty. And here's where we start to get into some of these features at. So we have cooling, fan only, we have a raindrop and a sun. If we hit that mode button a third time, and I'll show you in a minute, we're going to go into dehumidification. We hit this button a fourth time, we're going to go into heating. And that's where I'm going to cover a little bit more in detail. Over here we have our fan speeds. 3 fans are high, 2 fans medium, 1 fan low. All adjustable by this button here with the fan symbol above it. Here on the next one over we have our sleep function. Now your sleep function is so that when you go to bed at night you can hit that button and it will light that light up, and it will raise it 1 degree every hour that you sleep from where you last had it set at. And that's just for energy consumption at night. And sometimes people don't like to sleep when it's really, really cold. Others do. If you like it when it's cold when you sleep, then you're going to leave that sleep function off. Otherwise, it's just going to raise the temperature and it'll use less and less energy up to a period of 8 hours. So after 8 hours, this feature is going to cancel itself. Over here is our main viewing window. All your information is going to be in this window. I'll cover that in a minute. Right up here up top is our infrared sensor for our remote. And speaking of our remote, this duplicates every single function on the unit. Down below that IR sensor, we have our timer button. It's a 24-hour timer. And this unit, well, basically you get one shot. So if it's off, I could set my on time. And as you can see, I've hit it twice there. I've got 1 hour blinking, which brings me to this button. If I want to change that setting, I can come in here and rotate this. And by the way, if you don't press it for a while, it's going to cancel itself. So we're going to go ahead and set that up to change. And as you can see, we're changing it. And you'll push it in to switch it from Fahrenheit to Celsius, whatever your temperature is. So anytime you make an adjustment to your temperature over here or to your timer, you're going to use this rotary dial to do that. And when you're done, it'll blink, set it into memory. You don't need to touch it again. If you like your readings in Celsius, you could push this button and it will change it. And as you can see now it's in 16 degrees, which is Celsius. We push it again at 61, we're in Fahrenheit. Up here at the top, you're going to see, I'm going to turn this unit on. And up here at the top, we're going to see what mode we're in, how much fan we've got going. So the more bars, the higher the fan, and that gives you a double indicator. So if I turn that fan up to high, I've got 3 bars. 2 bars, 1 bar, 3 bars. So that's how we can tell. It's just a double check. And then you have your temperature in here, and I can adjust that up and down using my rotary dial. So over here with the modes, your blue light over here indicates that we're in cooling mode. And you have a star flake here, a snowflake, to show you that you're in cooling mode on the display. If I change that mode, now we're in dehumidification, and now fan only, and another press is going to give me heat. Now you notice that light turned red. We're now in heat mode, and this is very important. When you select heat mode, the unit will shut down like it just did. It's going to sit this way for 15 to 20 minutes while the inside of the unit, the coil and the valve in there switch over, because the front coil normally gives us our cold air, the rear coil becomes hot and we expel our exhaust. In this case, we're pulling heat out of the air into the unit and we're causing it to blow out heat. So we're going to reverse it. Now our back coil that gets hot is going to get really cold, and our front coil that gets cold is going to get really hot. And it's going to be a while it switches over. Once it switches over, you're going to hear a click of a relay, and then you'll hear the fan start to come on. When the fan comes on, it's going to have heated that coil up enough by then so it blows out warm air. It's not designed so that the fan comes on right away, because they don't want you to blow cold air at you back into the room. So we're going to wait till that coil heats up, and then we're going to start blowing some hot air. Bear in mind that this is a heat pump. It pulls heat out of the air to heat the room. If your temperature is below about 68 degrees, all the way down, after you hit about 50 degrees or so, 55 to 50 degrees, this unit's not going to heat as well. And the colder that room is when you start it up, the longer it's going to take for it to start, and the less it's going to heat, because there's less heat in the air to pull out. Eventually, at some point, we're going to hit a point of no return, and it's not going to heat up at all, or it's just not going to kick on because it's just too cold for this unit to operate. So just remember, if you're in the 60-degree range, and you drop any further, we start hitting the high 50s, the unit's not going to heat as well. That's normal. It is not a defect. That's the way the heat pumps are designed to work. At that point, you're going to have to put some sort of supplemental heat in the room. So we're still heating up here on heat. I'm going to take us out of it. I'm going to put us back into cooling mode. Now you'll notice the fan came on right away. That's because we weren't quite through switching, so it's going to blow some air into the room to get the air stirred up in the room. That delay only occurs in the heat mode. So remember, cooling first, dehumidification, fan only, and you can't adjust the temperature when you're in fan only, you're stuck. So it's because it's fan only. And that fourth press, we're going to get that click and it's going to stop again. We're going to go back into heat mode. Only after this unit started blowing hot air can you adjust the temperature on the dial. So you're locked out of this unit completely until that fan starts up, and that's only in heat mode. I hope that this do-it-yourself video has helped you to set up your new AP14001HS. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact EdgeStar at www.edgestar.com.
Hi, I'm Scott, and this is the EdgeStar AP14001HS, the extreme cool 14,000 BTU dual hose portable air conditioner and heater. Now this unit has a black cabinet with a stainless steel front and an attractive LCD display, which will complement the styling in any room. It cools up to 525 square feet with that 14,000 BTUs of cooling power. Also, it has a wide temperature range of 60 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, which means you can use it in the winter as a heater. It also comes with a fully functioning remote, which means you don't have to get off the couch to change the settings. Finally, a really cool feature about this unit is that it has an auto restart feature, which means if at any time the unit loses power, when it regains power, it'll just reset back to its previous settings. I'm Scott, and this is the EdgeStar AP14001HS, the extreme cool 14,000 BTU portable air conditioner and heater. Pick one up today.